My sister and I have been told many a time that we're wrong for calling Ahsoka a Mary Sue, but here's just a couple reasons why we're not. 1. A common misconception is that a character needs to be flawless in order to be a Mary Sue. This is incorrect. It's not necessarily a lack of flaws, but a lack of meaningful flaws that can qualify a character as a Mary Sue. For example, if a character has anger issues and frequently lashes out at their friends, but said friends never respond negatively to the character's unkind words, this is an example of a meaningless flaw. To put it another way, the flaw has no meaning if it leaves the character without fault. So if those friends and/or the narrative are constantly ignoring, excusing, or justifying the character's angry outbursts, rather than holding them accountable for their poor behavior, that's an example of a character flaw leaving said character faultless. Another example would be if a character needlessly disrupted galactically important peace talks in order to kidnap their crush, but was never held responsible for it. Ultimately, there's a bit of overlap between fault and flaws. Holding a character at fault for their flaws is part of what makes a flaw meaningful, but fault must also be meaningful, which is to say that a character's behavior must garner appropriate consequences. If, for example, a character causes thousands of deaths through willful insubordination, but receives nothing more than a light scolding, that's an example of a fault being meaningless since the consequences are not in proportion with the situation. 2. There's a lot more behind what qualifies or disqualifies a character as a Mary Sue than most people know. Most would assume this definition covers it all, but TV tropes delves much deeper into the topic. So here's a short list of some of the traits that can be found in a Mary Sue. She exists for wish fulfillment, otherwise known as a power fantasy. Thus, all the focus and favor is on her. Her flaws are non-existent, considered endearing, or exist only to claim that she's not actually a Mary Sue, which is to say that the flaws have no impact, as already mentioned. She has an implausibly wide variety of talents and abilities that are often rare, and she can easily outperform characters that have been established as professionals in those areas. She is young and universally attractive, often with unique physical traits that make her stand out from the crowd. Her backstory is unusual and/or dramatic, but often has left no lasting impression on her. The other characters all admire and love her. Those who don't are portrayed badly, either as evil, stupid, or simply behaving wrongfully in that moment. If being added to an existing work, she often has a close relationship with the most important or favored character in the original story. The reality is that Mary Sues can appear among a variety of characters and archetypes. For this reason, there are a number of subcategories for the purpose of identifying these Sues. There's the anti-Sue, the copycat Sue, the Einstein Sue, the fixer Sue, and of course the male counterpart to the Mary Sue known as the Gary Stew, among many, many others. The subtypes that most notably apply to Ahsoka are A. the Jerk Sue, so called due to the fact that characters who fall into this category can behave mean or downright cruel without ever losing their ideal person status.
Careful not to choke on your stupidity.
That's not fair.
I'm not trying to be.
B. the Black Hole Sue, thus called due to her seeming knack for sucking in the plot and characters, causing pre-established world-building rules and/or logic to be bent or broken, and characters to act out of character for her sake.
You will pay attention to my lead. You will learn your place, young one. Why don't you listen to me?
I gave you a specific order not to come.
I see Anakin's new teaching method is to do as I say, not as I do. Welcome aboard.
And C. the Neutrality Sue, a character known for bouncing between extremes. One moment she can appear wise and saintly, and the next she can be an immature and emotionally unstable wild card, all without raising any eyebrows.
You can't let your fear control you. If you make decisions out of fear,
you're more likely to be wrong.
I don't know who to trust. I'm not going to take the fall for something I didn't do.
If you want to hear more about what makes a character a Mary Sue, and specifically what makes Ahsoka one, we have an upcoming series discussing those very topics, so be sure to keep an eye out for it. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like, share it around, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content. And if you're looking for more ways to show your support, consider becoming a patron, link in the description. Lastly, to those of you who are already a patron, I want to offer a massive thank you. Don't forget to stay loud and proud, folks. I'm your alibi, and I will see you next time.